Shirts, welcome back to another episode of the Red Shirt Interviews, that show that gets really cool and awesome people to talk to us. I can't figure it out either, but anyways, I'm your host, Laz D, the Pseudo Kiwi, and with me is...
The illustrious Patrick M.
And tonight we have another fantastic guest, the wonderful, the amazing Cat Sky. Thanks, Cat. Yay! Wait a minute. What are we doing here? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Never mind us. We might seem like we're professionals, but we're not really. No, we're not.
No, if we zoomed out the camera, you would understand why.
Anyways, Kat, thank you for coming on the show. It is wonderful to talk to you after following you for so long on social media. It's nice to actually to speak to you in person.
Quote unquote person. Yes, thank you for having me. Like I said, I haven't done these in a while, so forgive me if I'm a little nervous. But just talk away, and I'll usually jump in.
Just jump all over us because I can talk to the cows come home.
I'm not going there.
Actually, you know what? I'll tell you.
Giggity.
Okay.
I'm gonna step off camera for a second so I can laugh for a little bit now. We'll tell you a little story off camera about people who can talk and talk and talk. I'm pretty sure that some of our guests have been able to talk the legs off of iron pots.
Are you going? They're not going to another Richard Hatch conversation, are we?
No. We're going to talk about Jack Stauffer. Anyways,
okay.
Thank you, Kat, for coming on the show. And what we wanted to do is be able to talk to you about, because you've been involved in some fantastic projects. We have seen some of the stuff with Axonar. We've seen Fifth Passenger, things that you're doing with Fifth Passenger, and now Blade of Honor as well. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into, I guess, kind of getting behind these projects, because every time I turn over a new project, there you are.
Let's see. It started back in September. I was just starting out in cosplay. I did my first cosplay at my first convention last November as a Vulcan. And around September, I got a message from this guy, Ryan Husk, and he added me on Facebook and said, hey, take a look at this project that I'm doing. You like Star Trek? Here's Star Trek actors. And Star Trek Voyager happens to be one of my favorite Star Trek series. And so I saw familiar faces, and I just go, oh, I got to see what this is about. Yeah. And so he said, this is called The Fifth Passenger. It is a sci-fi horror thriller film. And so I saw the trailer, and the trailer was made about 2 years ago at first, and so they went off of that until they actually got the Kickstarter going to actually make this. So I saw the first trailer, and then I was just hooked, and I go, I have to help out with this. I gotta see what this is about. And it just, one step after the other, I got so hooked, and I met so many cool people that it just went from there.
Yeah, well, I mean, from what we've seen, like one of the big names. I mean, obviously, we got Marina Sirtis that I saw was involved, and I mean, we're not going to lie. You know, she was one of probably our biggest prepubescent fantasies. Watching Trek, you know, Counselor Troy was the fantasy of any young nerdling Treklet. So, of course, you know, as we've gone along, you know, we've just kind of kept an eye on progress and projects and such. So, you know, what was it like working with Star Trek veterans like that?
It's exciting because I was born in 1990, so I was involved with Star Trek Next Generation because of my grandmother. So I'm familiar with Counselor Troy and her character, and so I didn't expect to be on the film set of The Fifth Passenger. I thought, because I live in Northern California. I'm not from LA. I'm not around LA just yet. And so I never thought I'd be on set. And so when I got the chance to spend a week on set to help out with the film, she was there the last week, and she did her stuff amazingly. A wonderful actress, very talented. I had the honor of sitting next to her and helping her sign photos. And then I met Manu and Tereme, and it's just so cool. They say, your childhood heroes, be careful when you meet them because they could turn out completely different than what you expect. Don't get me wrong, they're completely different than what you expect, but she's an awesome person, very sweet, and Manu is a great guy too, very funny. I had so much fun, and I would love to do it again, and I hope to do it again in the future.
Have you ever noticed that there are there are groups of actors that kind of get involved in projects, and next thing you know, they're in one, and then they're in the next, and then they're in the next. You know, you see Manu, and you see Tim, and you see you see them in Fifth Passenger, you see them in Renegades. You know, and now you've got Blade of Honor coming through, and it's just like, you know, I kind of noticed that groups of actors, they, you know, once they kind of gel together and do some great projects, you see them coming back and over again. And have you noticed that there's a real working vibe between all these people?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot, and it's something that just started to become a trend I've noticed in the past year and a half. And I really enjoy it because I love to see Star Trek actors in a different scenario. I want to see how they act outside of the Star Trek, because we're so used to seeing them in that character. Right. So seeing them as a different character is exciting, and it shows their true potential too.
Right. Well, you know, I tell a lot of people, a lot of our guests, when we're talking to them, we share stories, and I like to be rather informal as far as being able to share our experiences. And for me, I got the break into the industry by meeting a gentleman by the name of Jeff Oken. And anybody who knows sci-fi special effects will know him for his work on The Last Starfighter, Stargate, and I met him on the set of The Last Samurai. And that was, I was lucky enough to be living in New Zealand at the time, and they happened to be filming right there where I was living, like literally
nice.
5-10 minutes from where I was living. And I know it's the same way. You know, I mean, a lot of people say that, you know, you said, you know, people say don't meet your childhood heroes because you're going to be disappointed. And I couldn't have been, I mean, in that case, it couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, meeting Billy Connolly, love the guy. I mean, brilliant actor and comedian. And meeting Tom Cruise, and as much as people are you know, kind of bag him in his public life, you know, every time I had anything to do with him, you know, he was a completely down to earth, really easy to work with guy, and
nice.
And so yeah, I mean, so now we see you coming into projects where you get these groups of people kind of building on project to project. You know, what is it like? You know, kind of, you know, just to explain for our viewers, what is it like to be standing there on the set, watching the cameras roll, watching people, you know, the hive of activity as people walk around? I mean, I can tell you just from experience that the first time I was on a film set, I was completely gobsmacked because I was just amazed at the sheer number of people that were buzzing around doing different things. So what was it like to actually be amongst the fray?
Okay, so with the Fifth Passenger, they were filming in a small set in LA, and so most of the crew was actually voluntary people who just came voluntary. And so we didn't have a huge crew, but we had a very decently sized crew, and we were very lucky that this crew we had was just so perfect for this movie. We all got along. There was really hardly any trouble. It was just a smooth ride, and first day being there, I was so nervous because I'm just a PA at the moment, so I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just like, somebody direct me, tell me what to do. And so it's really cool. You help out doing little jobs. At least that's what I did. I didn't do anything crazy like hold up cameras or anything. I was feeling the vibe of everybody, getting to know everybody as well, because just being a PA, kind of like a personal assistant, but kind of with everybody since I was so new.
Right.
You get to know everybody. It's great and exciting, and it's a thrill, I think, because it's so new. That's how I can explain it.
Tell us. I mean, as we talked previously, you're most currently involved in Blade of Honor. Now, is that you in the teaser trailer?
No. I'm not an actor. I've never done acting. People have suggested it to me many times, but I don't have the experience. Maybe something later on, but not right now. No. The name of that actress, it spaces me right now, but you can look it up on the Blade of Honor Facebook page. Okay. It's there.
Well, I mean, obviously, you're working again. You're amongst people that you've worked with previously. You know, does it feel like it's a really exciting project? I mean, we most of the time, obviously in the film industry, we try to keep things under wrap as much as possible, so that we can, allow people to savor as much of the project, the end product, as possible, and not spoil it before it comes out. Do you feel that there is a real excitement and a real vibe going on with this project?
With Blade of Honor?
Yeah.
When Ryan Huss came to me close to the end of the Fifth Passenger filming, he's like, "Hey, there's another project I want you to be a part of, but it's still in the works." So I'm like, "Sure, you got me involved with this particular film. I would love to see what you have next." And so I really didn't know what it was about until a couple months later, and so they started pictures of on set, on the camera, and behind the scenes of the other actors there. Brian Stacy being one of them, and you'll know him from playing Spock, and I believe he was in the New Voyages. He played Spock in New Voyages, if I'm not mistaken. And so when the trailer came out is really what got me excited. They have great special effects so far for just the trailer, and they're doing really good so far with their acting. I'm really excited to see what it'd be like just to be on set for this particular film. It's going to be, I think it's a web series, they say they want it to be, yeah. Cool. And I can't wait. I really can't wait to see what else comes out.
So tell me, what is Tim Russ really like? I have been dying to get this guy on the show for months, and I can't lock him down just yet. But what's he like? I mean, having spoken to him in person, what is he like?
Unfortunately, I only got to meet him briefly when I was there because he already finished his filming weeks before I was there. The only time he came in was just to drop off something and say hi to everybody, and I basically said hello, shook his hand, and that was it, and I kind of left him alone because he was busy. But nice guy. Really nice guy.
Let's laugh at him. His dreams are crushed.
My dreams are crushed. I so wanted to know about this guy, and I got nothing. I'm
sorry. I barely had a chance to meet him.
That's all good.
Maybe next time. I'll let you know.
That's right.
There you go.
I will. You mentioned cosplay before. What really kind of got you sparked with cosplay? Because I mean, we've seen some of the pictures that you've posted, both originally on your personal page and now on your official fan page. What really kind of got you made you decide to get into cosplay? Because most of the people that I've talked to who got into cosplay have been really into it for a long time, and not often do I see people who kind of come into it a little bit later in the game, wanting to do it. So kind of just what made you decide to jump in?
With cosplay, okay, so I decided around when I was age 18 that I wanted to see what it was like to start taking professional photos and see if I could do it. And I did some different stuff on my own here and there, and it was pretty interesting. And then I kind of fell out of the whole modeling trend for a little bit, and I recently got back into it when a friend of mine decided that she wanted to take professional photos, and she was going to college for it. And so I'm like, you want help? I could be someone to help you out with your profile. And then she said she agreed to that, and so we decided, well, what photos did we want to take? And I've been asked this question multiple times. Well, what do you want to model? Do you want to model makeup, clothing? And I stood there and I'm like, well, I really don't know. And so I forgot what it was, but something triggered cosplay in my mind. Excuse me, gotta drink some water. Sorry. Something triggered cosplay, and so I decided that I would do a Star Trek cosplay because I grew up with Star Trek. I'm a Trekkie, and I love the new outfits. I love the new outfits in the Abram movie. I don't like it that they didn't have the stockings. That's why I added it in my cosplay, because it gives it a classier look.
Okay.
But cosplay was the trigger for my modeling and modeling for cosplay, and kind of just went from there, and it just caught on, and there's so many more I want to do. Just funding is kind of the issue right now.
Yeah, yeah. We're all starving artists of some kind.
We're a little poor.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, we're actually our first big con for us as a group, as a team, is to go to Gen Con in Indianapolis, and and then from there, I've done the smaller Comic Cons. I typically reside in Eastern Virginia, so we had Tidewater Comic Con, and there was some fantastic cosplay going on there. I really cannot wait to sink my teeth in it and go to the big one in San Diego, because I think, as you probably noticed yourself, that more than just showing up in costume or just showing up to see what guests and such are at these events, you want to show off your hard work, and you want to be a part of that experience. And I've seen some people, and we've all have seen some people do amazing work on their costumes, and they really get into it. I remember at Tidewater Comic Con, I saw a group of guys running around in homemade Ghostbusters outfits, and they had everything down to the T. They had the proton packs, with working lights and everything. They had the jumpsuits and everything perfectly detailed. And I saw a guy in full Darth Vader armor, and I thought to myself, you know what? It was so hot in Virginia at the time. I thought, man, you are dedicated. So, or
it has a cooling unit built in.
Oh no, it can be tough at times, because if you look through my photos, even my cosplay photos, I'm wearing these go-go boots, these black go-go boots. Right. At one point, I had to run across one side of the building to the other in these go-go boots because I saw someone I wanted to talk to. And so I jetted in those things. I'm like, cat away.
Off we go. Watch out for the running Vulcan.
Yeah, you just see this red-headed Vulcan running go-go boots. It's just like,
well, yeah. But see, that not only did you get to talk, hopefully you got to talk to the person you wanted to speak to, but not only that, then you got people turning heads like, what was that?
Yeah.
I mean, how many red-headed Vulcans do you see? Seriously.
Not very many, especially with long hair.
Exactly. I mean, usually they're not in Starfleet if they're like that, right? Am I right?
Well, generally Vulcans in general have a bowl cut look.
That's right, yeah. Unless they're belonging into the more religious orders. Am I right there? I'm sorry, Kate, I don't mean to nerd out on you, but sure. I am a Trek nerd deep in my heart, and sometimes I don't get to. Sometimes I try to talk to him, and he's more of the Star Wars fandom, and it's like talking to a red brick wall.
I still know more Trek than most people, though.
Yeah, you do. I'll give you credit. Speaking of which, this is a topic that you had mentioned before. When you do things like cosplay, I mean, being a young woman who is putting her face out there for everybody to see, you're putting you're doing the cosplay, you're doing the modeling and the photographs and things like that.
And it's visually stunning, essentially.
Right. I mean, they're fantastic photos. I mean, we can't give you enough praise.
But this is something that we see, that we've seen a lot of articles and a lot of stories about this recently, about conventions trying to create safe spaces because women are essentially treated too much like objects at some of these conventions, and it's something that
you've got to be careful. Yeah, you got to be careful, especially I think the ones that I see the most revealing are anime conventions. Oh my goodness. Like, it's crazy at anime conventions because most of the characters anime kind of show a lot of skin.
Yeah, they do.
And so of course you're going to idolize someone dressed like that. I'd just be like, "Oh my goodness, shaved. What yeah. You can't help but stare, obviously. They're practically revealing themselves." And so they do have that classification at times, and you do need to be careful, like, women out there. Just be careful.
Yeah,
just be smart. If you're going to dress in something like that, have someone there that's good to protect you at least, because you just never know.
Right. I mean, one thing that we talked about quite a bit, and this kind of rolls on to another subject that we touched on briefly, which was the Trekkers Against Bullying. But I mean, one thing that we've seen a lot is the amount of misogyny that comes into the side of things. Because obviously things like appreciating Star Trek or any other fandom that you're in, as you mentioned, anime, there is always going to be a certain level of that. But we noticed, and you're not the only one that I've noticed it on. I follow a number of people, I interact with a number of people, and we see a large number of the followers being that of the opposite sex. You know, in your case, you know, when you post something, we see a lot of replies from men. And a lot of that comes down to, you know, it's something that's really important to note is that, you know, I'm sure a lot of them are great people. You know, they're very interested in what you're doing. They're very genuine. But at the same time, you also have to be very cautious and mindful about what kind of information that you put out there, because you never know.
There's a certain number of guys who go, ooh, boobs, like.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and then there's another reason why I opened up my fan page, and my pinned post on my fan page, I have a video of the rules of what I don't want on my page and what my page is for and why I made it, because everything was on my personal page, and when your personal page runs out of room, you can't have anybody else. Right. A fan page or just a regular separate page, you have more options. You have groups that can talk to you. I am having more women a part of my page. And that's what I like to see. I want to have more women interested in what I do, more women cosplayers. I want that feedback, because I'm happy to have the men I have. I'm happy to have that fan base, but at the same time, I want to expand.
Right, exactly. And you know, and like I said, it kind of rolls on to the project or the cause that I've actually personally gotten in behind recently, which was the Truckers Against Bullying. Do you find that, you know, that have you ever personally experienced anybody making you feel uncomfortable for your level of fandom or the kind of things that you share?
Well, just doing what I do, especially with the amount of social media that I do often get those particular comments and messages, and I have to delete and ignore them. I constantly, since I'm an admin on my fan page right now, it's just I'm constantly going through stuff, and I delete things because you have to. You just have people who they're on social media. People get a lot braver in social media than in person because it's the internet, and that's just how it is. We all know that, and we all do it at times. I'm guilty of it. I am, and so just be careful, especially if you're just starting out being a young woman. Don't put any personal information, and please keep your clothes on. I've come across many bad websites, and you have to be careful. And with the bullying part, I'm beginning to notice this more and more. And a lot of people, they like to say, "Oh, Star Wars and Star Trek, there's a huge like bullying there." I'm stopping and I'm looking at Star Trek and the community in Star Trek, and now that I know more people in the 501st and I'm getting to know that community more, to be honest, Star Wars they have their own little problems like any other group, so does Star Trek, but Star Wars is a huge community, and these people get along so well, and they have so many different groups. They might not all get along, but at least they can coexist. In Star Trek, we have a lot of issues in the Star Trek community, and I don't know if issues is a good word for it, but there is a lot of bullying, and I think it has to do with because there's separate seasons, there's different captains, there's different movies, and now we have the newer movies, and I see a lot of people just bashing the Abram movies because it's so different. And I always tell people, because when I point out something that I like, someone's there to like, you're always going to have that critic. And I try telling people and point out that I love Star Trek. I love all Star Trek, because the fundamental basis of Star Trek, why it was created, and what it means. And I've noticed that in Star Trek community, we have a lot of arguments. And it's hard for us to get along with other groups because I don't really know why, actually. I think it's just hard for people to get along and coexist in Star Trek because of certain issues. Oh no, I'm just trailing off. It makes me...
Oh, and trust and believe. I know that we've seen the same thing ourselves. I have a kind of a theory to that. Is that, you know, since being a Star Trek fan for so long was such a stigma, it was people were bullied just for the fact that they were a fan of something that wasn't cool. Well, now it's starting to become cool. And when you have that, you start to get stratas inside that structure of that fandom. And you have, and as you said, it's because we have so many different branches that go off in different ways. Everybody has their own opinion, and actually now I feel that the community itself is actually more harmful to itself than outside influences like it once was.
And it doesn't just start at the just basic Star Trek community. It's up there in the film community too. You have all these different little Star Trek fan bases starting up, these little shows, and there are people there that don't like each other. It's there too, and I'm not just saying that. Of course, there's personal issues there, and that's aside.
Right.
But they all have their disagreements as well. And I'm just sitting back and thinking, if we can all just get along and agree on some sort of level, we can get this federation started.
That's right.
Because I know this stuff is slowly becoming a reality, but we can't fully accomplish what we want unless we coexist. And we're having a hard time coexisting in this community, and it is becoming a problem. And Leonard Nimoy was such a wonderful person, and he loved everybody. Every document, everything I heard from people is he was a wonderful person, and he loved everything, and he just wanted everything to get along. And we've all forgotten the fundamentals of that. Even Gene Roddenberry, he made Star Trek for a reason,
right.
And I think we're losing what that reason is. I honestly do, and it's sad to see.
Well, hopefully, cooler heads will prevail, and Gene's vision will become more. It will be able to come into more fruition as we go along. Right now we're in a like another growth period for the franchise, and as you said, we have a lot of people who are coming up with their own fan movies, their own series. I've been very fortunate to have spoken or worked with some of them, and spoken to a lot of them. And you're right. You do see that people have their own ideas and everything, and it will be once it becomes a united front, then we'll start to see a lot of these issues go away, and hopefully, the problem of having other people within the groups and everything trying to make it an unpleasant experience for others, that itself will resolve itself as we become more tightly knit as a community.
Yeah, and it will take time. We have to just start letting people notice what's going on, and just hopefully they can realize it and then change their thought pattern. But you never know.
Yeah.
It's just a slow work in progress because, like you said, this is becoming popular. Star Trek was always around, but it's something that lied dormant. Of course, you had Voyager, Deep Space Nine, and I think Voyager, if I'm not mistaken, Enterprise ended the Star Trek saga in the early 2000s, and then it kind of just died out from there. No one really heard of it until the movies came back. Right. And so you have all these young kids and all these older people who grew up with it, and newer people who are introduced with it are getting confused because they have the newer movies, and kids watch the movies more than they'll watch something that was made in the 60s. And so you'll get controversy there. But like I said, if you can just understand each other and then understand the storyline, we could coexist. So
I know that we'll eventually get there. It's just everybody's gonna kind of try to make their own mark along the way, and eventually we'll get into I guess a little bit more of a harmonious place with this franchise, and hopefully we can iron out some of these problems. Kat, it's been fantastic being able to talk to you. I know that you're passionate about everything you do, like we are, and it is fantastic. We want to talk to you some more again. We've just run out of time for this interview, and like I said, we definitely want to be able to talk to you some more. We'll follow you, and it has been an absolute pleasure being able to talk to you this evening.
Absolutely.
Oh. Thank you for having me. I didn't mean to end on such a down note. I didn't know how much time we had.
Good serious note is always a good way to end it.
It's an important subject, and at the same time, it's really, really good for somebody who has been kind of working their way towards getting into that side of the community. Is always good. So, and it's really important for us to be able to share that message with everybody. Yes. So again, thank you so much, and absolutely, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we will definitely see you again. This has been the Red Shirt Interviews. I'm Lasdy, the Pseudo Kiwi.
I'm the illustrious Patrick M.
And our guest tonight, again, has been the fabulous Cat Sky. Thank you again, Cat. That's right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Peace out, folks.